It is time once again for the end of another LTT Linux challenge, so let us see, can they truly not go back to Windows? Honestly, I'm kinda surprised by the results.
For over a month, Elijah, Luke, and I have been daily driving some flavor of Linux.
I don't know why they've blurred the logos, and then I don't know why they have white backgrounds around the ones for Linus. The editors were doing something here. It's not relevant to the challenge.
We showed you what we chose to install.
We talked through some of the roadblocks that we hit.
We even attempted challenges with varying degrees of success.
But now it's time for our final verdicts. Who will stay on Linux, and who will go crawling back to Microsoft like a baby?
I'm sure you all have your predictions. I am not going to spoil anything before we get there.
That's a joke, of course. These are just our personal experiences, and your year of the Linux desktop might come sooner or later than ours.
If you just say current year +1, you will never be wrong. Got it memorized?
No shame in either.
But one thing that we can say for certain is that the year is closer today than it was the last time these two did the challenge.
To be fair, a lot of the things that Linus especially did back then were really dumb that no one would ever actually do, but things have gotten better in the last 4 years. I'll give you that.
So true. It feels like Linux has been moving forward at the same speed that Windows has been moving backward. Which
Certainly doesn't hurt.
And both are pretty impressive. All three of us, spoiler alert, seriously considered staying on Linux rather than returning to that sinking ship. I want to start by thanking everyone out there for your interest in this series, along with a special shout out for the folks who played along at home. Seeing the community rally around Linux shows me that
I think it is that's one of the cool things about the LTT Linux challenge. A lot of people follow along with them and use this as kind of the excuse to go and try things out. So even if you don't like LTT's coverage, you don't like what LTT did, it did result in more people actually experimenting finally.
Some people really do care about important things like freedom, privacy, and owning their own stuff. We did a whole video.
A lot of people, the value of convenience, comfort, and familiarity is such an overwhelming force that if this isn't your main focus, if computing isn't your hobby, it can be really hard to make any sort of change in that world.
Discussing how the legitimate threat that Linux now presents is finally forcing Microsoft to wake up and do something.
Is it? Dude, what are they doing? Just letting things die?
Action. And this is just proof once again that competition is good for absolutely everyone.
That is
and
true.
Everything. So with that in mind then, let's kick off with the highlights from the first month.
I know what they're doing here. I know what you're doing here. So you know that people don't watch the entire video. You know people check out early. So you start with the good stuff. That sort of mitigates some of the really angry negative comments. And then anyone that wants to be angry, they've got to watch further in the video, giving you more watch time and just overall making the video do better. I know what you guys are doing with this structure.
Me, the first one has got to be speed. Maybe it's just general bloat. Maybe it's because everything doesn't have to check in with Copilot when I do literally anything. But Bazzite just felt snappier than Windows. And quick application launch time made my system feel, honestly, brand new.
That's not just a Bazzite thing, and it's all of the above. Linux isn't magic. It's just not. It's just that Windows is so heavy at this point. It is doing so many things behind the scenes that you cannot get rid of, that anything else is gonna feel fast. And if you want to step away from the mainstream distros and you want to start getting things working really nicely on, 20-year-old hardware, there are projects out there like Puppy Linux which do absolutely insane things and get ancient hardware working perfectly fine with no issues. It's obviously still ancient hardware and you're gonna have problems, but way more than anything Windows is going to do to it.
single time I used it. I also did love how supportive the community was overall. I lurked in the Discord a decent amount, and if you ignore the couple times that they shit on me before this challenge,
They're going to shit on you after the challenge as well. Whenever you're not talking about Linux, it's going to happen.
the community seemed really keen on helping get new users the best Bazzite experience possible.
There are certainly bad forums out there, but I think people like to sort of overplay it. A lot of people on Linux do want you to use Linux, right? There are places out there where people are not going to help you, but most people want Linux to grow.
Saying that, there were some other things.
Nope. We're only doing positive right now. Positive things only.
I feel like Luke just forgot how to be on camera. He feels like, a lot of this video, he's just sitting there like really awkwardly.
Fine.
I think the biggest eye-openers for me happened every time I was back on Windows for some reason. Like when I jumped on the WAN Show laptop, for instance. I go to sit down and boom! Do you want to use Edge? Do you like Xbox gaming? Would you like a OneDrive subscription? No! Just like the last time you were all up in my grill asking me about it.
There are some apps on Linux which do bug you about things like donations, like in Bottles, for example, or in KDE you have this once-a-year donation prompt, but it's not this ever-present force that is constantly just, hey, engage with the buttons. So I definitely do get that. You still get that on the web, obviously, but at least the desktop is mostly clear.
It drives me freaking crazy. Like, if Microsoft was a guy at college, he would be the kind of guy that the bartender would type up a thing and then show it to the girl sitting next to him.
Get ready for the metaphors. There's going to be a lot of them in this video. I don't know what Linus was thinking, but this is not the last one.
He doesn't take no for an answer. And I just found...
Or yes. Remember my login? Just
He just doesn't listen.
yeah.
I just found that over the course of my month with Linux, my trust in it grew. And by comparison, my trust in Windows is just shattered at this point.
I think the
As you learn more about Linux, you're going to learn more about problems you have. You're going to learn about problems which may not necessarily be easy to fix, but a lot of problems can be dealt with either by just configuring something, changing to a different application, and all of this stuff. When you learn more about Windows, you start to learn that you can't fix certain things. There are just fundamental flaws with what they've done, and all you gotta do is just wait. So Linux gives you that agency to be able to address the problems if you want to.
I think the main thing that I was surprised by was actually game compatibility, because last time this was a pretty big issue. And for most of
Things were already in a pretty good state back then. I didn't have most of the problems they had. Granted, I have a very small pool of video games that I play, so I'm not the greatest test case for that.
this challenge, you know, I started with every time before I was going to launch a game.
Good.
I loaded up a browser, checked ProtonDB. What are people doing to make it work?
Didn't believe ProtonDB.
Yeah.
Sometimes the responses there are out of date. Sometimes it's just not for your system. Sometimes people think something fixed a problem and it didn't actually fix a problem. It was like a reboot that fixed it, and they sort of don't know exactly what went wrong there.
And then within, honestly, not that much time, I stopped checking. I stopped even checking force compatibility. I just started pressing play, and almost everything just worked.
Yeah. As long as it's a single-player game, for the most part, that's how it's going to go. There are some exceptions, like when P5 Royal came out on PC, on Linux, it just did not work whatsoever. And because it had de novo trying to test it to work, each different Proton version was considered a new install. There were messes at the time. But for most things, yeah, you can just click play. If it doesn't work then, hey, then deal with it. Otherwise, don't think about it.
It's like roulette, but 5 of the 6 chambers are full.
Yeah.
Again, the metaphor.
It would almost always work. The problems were, I guess, no, we're only doing positive.
Yes, we are.
So I'll stick with that.
So what we can do is go to lmg.gg/floatplane, where some of the free-flowing discussion might end up on the cutting room floor, but I've got a few more things that are positive. I did a trip to Sony, where I was checking out a new TV, and I realized, oh no, I can't use their display source because it's got copyrighted films on it.
Sure.
So I needed something to output to it. And
What a great thing to do. You invite the YouTubers to come check out your hardware, and you don't give them any video to actually demo it with. Good job, Sony.
was like, well, I have HDR footage, but do I have an HDR capable device? And I went, oh gosh, it's my Linux laptop.
If this challenge was 4 years ago, yeah, that actually would be a problem.
Kubuntu handled it like a champ. Absolutely.
That's KDE for you.
Zero BS. Honestly, it was a better experience than Windows.
Wow.
I was floored.
For me, with Bazzite, I actually found a lot of positives came from external launchers, which was honestly really surprising because obviously Proton is very tied with Steam,
Sure,
at
yeah.
least online in terms of the narrative behind it. But
Well, it is from Steam. Like, Wine is its own external project, but Proton itself is from Steam. But you can use it with other launchers. It's commonly used in, like, Bottles and Lutris now. It's, at the start, you pretty much only could use it with Steam. That's no longer true.
there was times where I was able to get the Xbox launcher working, and I even managed to boot brand new Forza Horizon 6 on it.
Some people have had issues and not a great game on Linux right now. That's that's one way to put it. The game is extremely broken. The dev of VKD3D Proton software for running Direct3D 12 games on Linux isn't enjoying Forza Horizon 6 very much. Basically, the game is kind of like a code. There's design decisions in this game that don't even make any sense on Windows. No one knows why they made the game like they did.
Interesting.
Because
I didn't.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that right now.
But it is a big game. There is effort going into fixing it. Support is getting better. But this happens from time to time. Sometimes there are just games where they just make up new rules on how you write a game.
No negatives
This is a positive. All right. I think yeah. The other bit of positive is that it's just more fun. Like the problems that I'd run into on Windows for the last honestly years, like not a short period of time, has almost always just been really annoying.
I felt like they're problems by design, whereas on
Kinda.
Linux, I feel like they're problems by we didn't get to that yet.
Your HDR thing is so.
I think that is a really good way to frame it. Recall wasn't a mistake. Building the start menu in React wasn't a mistake. All of the having Windows Update be really annoying and restart in the middle of work wasn't a mistake. These are all intentional design choices made by Microsoft. On Linux, when a feature is missing, let's say, for example, supporting virtual monitors properly on KDE, where you can actually have virtual monitors, not you swap your virtual monitor and your entire workspace swaps. Yes, it's been a problem for about 20 years, but it's a problem that nobody got to fixing. It wasn't like that just because people don't like you. Now, you can start digging into the internal politics of various projects like Wayland Protocols and, you know, that might change. You might remove the veil a little bit, but for the most part, yeah, it's just because no one's bothered to fix it.
Polished because some person out there was just annoyed about HDR and made it awesome.
Yeah.
And just maybe someone hasn't been annoyed enough about the problem that you're dealing with right now. So
Regarding the HDR thing, that is partially related to Valve's involvement. So, also you should probably thank Valve for that one, because HDR had been a discussion for about 15 years.
it hasn't been made completely awesome yet, but you can probably fix it yourself.
Shifting gears a little bit, as someone who has set up a lot of computers, the whole going through and getting the drivers rigmarole bothers me more than it probably should. And on Linux, it just isn't a thing. If you've got a recent kernel, it just, everything, my Wi-Fi, my Bluetooth, all of my crap, mostly,
Emphasis on mostly.
just works. And it blows me away that in the year of our Lord 2026, Microsoft can't have a similar experience with Windows Update.
Windows.
So there are still cases where you need to worry about drivers on Linux. Obviously, there are the NVIDIA proprietary drivers, which some distros don't automatically install for you. If you're on Arch, for example, it's a whole like manual setup process. Then there is like esoteric hardware, like my Stream Deck here, where If you want to go and use it, you got to use a program like Stream Controller, which is a way to configure it, but it is also a driver for the Stream Controller as well. If you have various less common racing wheels and weird Wi-Fi chips, there are absolutely still cases, but it's so much better than it was in the past. Nowadays, for a lot of standard systems, especially like a standard AMD system, you don't really need to think about it, and that's crazy.
This update was actually like, I don't know, kind of fascinating. Like going from updating Mint and Cache to updating my Windows machine felt like I went back a decade.
Yeah.
Like it was not only are you not getting those driver updates, but it's also not updating just all the software on your computer.
It's a bit of a weird point because, well, you are getting the driver updates, and it is updating all of the software on your computer. Like, that's the whole point of having app. That's the whole point of Pac-Man. That's the whole point of DNF. It's just, you as the user are in control of when it happens. So if you want to update at the end of your day, you can update at the end of your day. If you want to update first thing in the morning, you can update first thing in the morning. There is never this thing that is forcing you to update. Some distros do have a plugin that have like a notification installed that will be like, hey, there's updates available, go install them. But that's the end of it. You can choose what you want to do with it.
Fairness to Windows. Chocolatey, Winget, these things do exist.
They do.
And the Microsoft Store does exist.
It does exist.
It just doesn't feel like part of the native experience.
I think with Chocolatey and Winget, Windows users just don't expect there to be any terminal-based interaction. So even though they do exist, they're more relegated to the developer side of Windows. And then the Microsoft Store, well, it kind of feels like, oh, there is something I want to use. It is only on the Microsoft Store. I guess I will use it, rather than, hey, there is a store here. I want things to be simpler. I'm going to use the store.
And the parts that do, like the Windows Store, feel crammed down my throat and like they come with downsides.
And like you're best off to try to avoid it.
And I mean, speaking of that, I actually enjoyed using the built-in like Bazite store because it worked very well. There was no other ads shoved in my face. 9 times out of 10, I could probably find what I wanted.
You don't need to log in with your
KDE, GNOME, Bazite, anywhere else that has a store, they don't have a monetary incentive for pushing the store to you. It solely exists to get you to more easily install apps. Whereas the Windows Store, they want you to install as many things as possible. They want you to spend money. They make money when you use the store. The structure of how the software is built at its core is entirely different.
2FA, and then like randomly you have to log in again in the Minecraft launcher app that you downloaded from the Windows Store
That is
with
dumb.
the same credentials. Why?
Yeah, it was
Just inherit
it was awesome to actually use a store that I kind of liked.
Honestly, just the experience of getting software in general on Linux feels pretty good. Like updating with Pac-Man, and you have the little animation of it like
Does Cache enable that by default? Because I've got that enabled on my system, but that's not a default setting in Pac-Man.
eating little bits as it goes along. It just like feels good.
It is cute,
And
though.
then
I do like it.
going to update Windows after only like a week, not only took forever, but it's not entirely clear like what's even going on. Things will sit at 99% for 10 minutes. And it's so rewarding.
Yeah, any package manager is going to tell you each individual component that's updating. If you want to know what that component is, you can just look up that component.
When you go to update, I have this experience with Cache all the time where it'll be like this big system update and it finishes and it's like net size change minus whatever. Like it just got smaller. Like, what? Are you kidding me?
And even when things
I am so used to seeing that I didn't even consider that to be just a positive anymore. It just is what the experience is like.
don't work. Okay, this might be a bit of a controversial take, but I was blown away by how quickly I could solve things with an LLM.
I'm sure some people are not happy about hearing that.
Oh yeah.
Compared to like trawling endless, ancient forum posts, because that's the thing about Linux, double-edged sword is it's moving really fast, which is great for it like getting better all the time, but not great for the archive of information that's out there on the internet. With something can be from 6 months ago and be completely irrelevant today.
I also found that
What does help with Linux is whilst Windows does have documentation, Linux documentation is it's sort of the expected thing, right? Like, most people don't go and read Windows documentation unless you're a Windows developer, whereas Linux documentation, that's the norm. You should go look at the documentation. It is cloned everywhere. You have it installed on your system in the form of man pages, and it's rewritten 1,000 different ways in various different wikis. So when it comes to the LLMs actually being able to find good information, the information's out there. Like, it's all over the internet. Now, they still gaslight you, but at least the answers are there for it to find.
I did a bunch of LLM usage with trying to learn how to use Linux, but I tried to use it as an educational tool instead of like an autocomplete. But FS tab, I was messing around in there, but instead of just like, I would ask it like, what should I put here? And it would tell me, but then I'd be like, okay, well, there's like 2 random numbers at the end. What are those? What does that mean? I'm like, what is this? It says no fail. What is it not failing? Why would I want it to fail?
I think this is a good way to use an LLM. If you're just not sure about like individual components, like, hey, what is this specific structure? What is this folder supposed to be for? Things like that. Not using it as a replacement for learning how to actually navigate around your system. Now, I think you still should learn where the documentation is, and you can ask the LLM, where is the documentation? And it will tell you that as well. Mostly. Sometimes. When it feels like it.
I mean, speaking of fail, it's funny you brought up LLM because of how much people made fun of you in part 1 for using it to decide your distro.
There are definitely parts of the Linux space, like, there are definitely parts of the Linux space which are like the artist space and the music space, which are very, very anti-AI.
I was so scared of that kind of reception that I cautiously was like, I'm not using an LLM to solve my issues. I broke that after like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I tried what you said. I went through like old forum posts, old Reddit posts or whatever, and hey, 6 out of 10 probably worked fine.
Yeah.
But those 4 out of 10 that didn't drove me nuts. So
I also
To the old school Linux users out there who are like, I've did everything through man pages and playing around with things, like, this new school way of using Linux might seem crazy. This is the world you're in now. This is what developers are doing who are like 14, who are just starting out. This is what new Linux users are doing. This is what a lot of people do when they want to learn something. I don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. It just is.
ran into the LLM just like gaslighting the heck out of me.
Oh, of course,
Like,
of course.
it happens, but you have to be aware of that as well.
Now, we do have to move on, and I get it. Criticizing Linux feels a little bit like walking outside on a crisp autumn day to discover that some kind neighbor has raked all the leaves in your yard. Then tracking down that neighbor and explaining to them that you would have done it differently.
Who let him cook on these? I don't know what he's doing in this video.
However, we do have some ongoing sources of friction with Linux, even a month into our switch. Why don't we start with Luke?
Yeah, I've had some issues with my pressing my middle mouse button, which you might not think you use that often. I like scrolling that way on really long web pages.
I'm a middle mouse diehard.
Yeah.
Some people think it's weird. Yeah, like this is like my go-to way of doing things, especially now that I have a 1440p monitor and the web pages, especially with infinite loading pages, can be longer. Yeah.
I love it.
I don't know how many people are, but I am as well. And that just wasn't working anywhere. I figured out that that's a settings toggle that you can do in browsers.
I don't know why it's dumb that it's a setting, but yes, you can do that.
I was able to solve that. But like in Baldur's Gate, the way that you turn the screen is you press in your scroll wheel and then rotate the screen.
Well, one of the ways you turn the screen.
But I just rebound the middle mouse version to a single key because it just wasn't working at all. And I ended up looking into this, and it is a thing with Linux where...
So, I wasn't aware of this. I played Baldur's Gate 3 back when it first came out. I've seen more recent reports that this appears to be a problem, and there are some other games that also have the same issue as well. I don't play that many games that use a middle mouse click. You can apparently fix it in KDE, so yeah. Either way though, listen to why if you don't know.
Drag select copies whatever you select, and then pressing in the middle mouse wheel pastes it. And it's just like, okay, but I don't want that. And I tried to look up some resources online and then just figured out that, oh, okay, I can just change the settings in the browsers. That's 95% of what I need to change here.
Yeah.
Another annoying.
So there is a bit of fixing that. Basically what Luke is saying here is if I highlight this text, I don't have to click copy or like Control C. That text is now in my clipboard. I can now go and paste that by just doing a middle mouse click. This is 40-year-old X11 design. Why it's like this is a story for another time, but if you don't like it, it can be disabled in KDE. It's in a confusing place, so you might not find it. It's under behavior settings, under the quick settings, and then middle click. Why it's here, I don't know. Probably should be under the mouse settings, but it's there.
The thing that I had is I didn't get Forza 6 working. There's kind of an issue here that I don't run into when I'm troubleshooting things on Windows, which is I couldn't tell if this error was because I was running Linux, or if this error was just an error with the game.
That's a really good point. Whenever you're doing something unsupported, and let's face it, Proton, even though it's super cool and magical, is effectively, from the game developer standpoint, an unsupported use case.
Depends on the game developer. For a lot of them, yes. But there are some devs out there who just don't want to have a native version and use Proton as their effective native version and then actively support that. But that's few and far between.
You have no way of knowing, is this just me? Is this my weird flavor of Linux? Is this the game? Is it my hardware?
I mean, speaking
Probably all of the above.
of things that don't just work sometimes, for me, it was search.
This is going to be a skill issue, by the way. This is actually not a problem.
And search on Bazite was surprisingly terrible.
This
and
is not the direction I was expecting this conversation to go.
to be very clear, Windows search, absolute ass as well. In fact, probably worse than Bazite.
Okay.
But the problem is that Bazite/Linux, I believe this is
Specifically KDE, he actually means.
probably under the whole roof, they sometimes make things different just for the fact of being different from Windows.
I do get that sometimes.
And so when I would type the word sleep to adjust my sleep settings, and because I type sleep enter, my computer would go to sleep. That is a habit I still have not broken.
That's not a Linux problem. That's not a KDE problem. That's not a Bazite problem. That's a slow down just a tiny little bit and pay attention to what the computer is doing. Things are different on Windows and Linux and Mac and Android and iOS. Don't expect literally your old muscle memory to work exactly the same way.
It's such a minor thing, but it paints the bigger picture that I'm talking about.
The hard thing about a lot of these frustrations is they could be like habit-based or based on just sort of the logic of operating systems that you're used to, like your middle mouse expected behavior. And I don't know how to solve that, right? Because on the one hand, you don't want all Linux distros to just be Windows clones. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
that's the whole point. That's what we're trying to get away from. But on the other hand, if they're too different, it's hard for you to confidently look at someone in your life who uses Windows or Mac OS and go, yes, I recommend this Linux, fully acknowledging that I'm going to be the tech support for it.
I would recommend not recommending operating systems to people. That's usually a good way to start. But I don't think this is necessarily a problem that has to be solved. There are problems like the way that GNOME disks works, where there is a UX problem there. But I think it's okay for Linux environments to be different. Like it's okay for Mac to be different. Like it's okay for Windows to be different. I think if they are way too similar, then you have another problem where anything that is slightly off is going to throw you even more. I think having something that is very clearly a different thing, that can put you into the mindset of, I know that things are not going to work exactly the way that I'm used to. The problem is you have to actually acknowledge that this is the way to address it.
When you run into problems with it, which I guess is part of why so many different distros do need to exist.
I think the desktop matters a lot more than the distro, but people are going to have very minute differences between distros as well.
Even if that itself may continue to be a pain point for Linux and for me in particular. Enter any Linux distribution conversation and you will find at least half a dozen people who are confidently declaring that their one distro to rule them all would have solved all of your problems, and it'll be half a dozen different distros. So clearly.
My choice is the right choice. Use Arch, by the way. Ignore the AUR problem from the other day. Don't worry about that one. Don't worry about that one. It's not important.
Right? Like whether I'm expecting a Windows clone or whether I'm expecting something totally different, not all of them can be correct. And that's something that I find difficult anytime I encounter like a hyper passionate community. The Linux user base, I think if I had to summarize it, is weird because
True.
Collectively, the community is actually really great. And individually, they're really great.
Usually.
But it's like the little cliques.
Where did your editors find this? I haven't seen this image in years. Why is this here?
The little tribes that form. And then things get kind of toxic. But even that, I feel like it comes from a good place. Like, my goal of choosing a single distro for all of my machines was probably a mistake. And the
I don't necessarily think that's the case.
people berating me for not choosing their better distro,
They'll do that,
the only
though.
reason they were going at me was because they wanted me to have a good Linux experience. Not the right way to be welcoming.
I'm going to put it into terms that maybe Linus will understand. I know Linus likes sports. When you are new to a sport, let's just, I don't know, pick hockey, pick football, pick any sport. All hockey fans love hockey. All football fans love football. And when you are new to interacting with that sport, whether it's playing it or watching it, they also want you to love it. However, many of them really want you to love their team and love their way of enjoying it. This is not something unique to Linux. This is something you get with any hobby that has these very clear sort of distinctions and groups that you can belong to. It's just going to happen that people love to be involved in groups and people want you to be in their group, not anyone else's group.
I have one last gripe. Display capture in Wayland. I wish it could be simpler.
I'm very happy that someone's talking about this.
I ran into pairing issues with my Xbox controllers.
Display capture in general is a little bit clunky on the Linux side. I was like a little bit surprised you didn't do your streaming setup originally. That was probably the right call.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go like 2 months without streaming.
Yeah. Well, no,
I stream.
like I've been streaming and
Sure.
it's been fine, but I have to kind of reconfigure things. Like I'll open up OBS and every single one of my desktop capture sources will reload and be like, what do you actually want to capture? It doesn't remember from last time.
I think there's two things that are happening here. Firstly, they should be remembered. And if you unplugged the monitor, it's probably forgetting that the monitor ever existed. What should happen, and what happens on my system, because I have a desktop here, I turn OBS on and my desktop captures are remembered. My window captures, they're not remembered. I have to do that with every single one of them, and this is something being worked on. KD devs know this is a problem. There is one dev who had like 40 windows in their OBS, and they're not happy with it, so they're working on fixing that one.
There might be a way to solve that. It doesn't take me that much time to reconfigure it, but when I was back on Windows, I open OBS and I click Start Stream. It's just a little bit smoother, but it only takes me 30 seconds to fix it. It's not the end of the world, but that also lies in that area where it only takes me 30 seconds to fix it, so I'm not going to spend the half an hour that could make it so that I never have to spend the 30 seconds again, because that's probably possible.
Yeah, I'd say the like 30 to 120 seconds is the danger zone for problems.
Yeah.
The I will
For me, it's more like 15 to 20 seconds. But there are many problems on my system where I know they're problems and I know I can fix them. I just don't, because the amount of time it would take me to fix it and work out how to fix it, I'm just like, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I'll just waste 10 seconds every single time and just not worry about it. Like, for example, when I start streaming, I could window rule it to go and have my windows open exactly where I want them. I don't. I just manually open the windows every time and manually place them. Or Shenmue, which for some reason bleeds out of the window container. So I've got to make the window floating and then line it up with the edges of my monitor. Shenmue 3 is it's a video game.
We'll never fix it time frame.
I'll just do this forever.
On the subject of unfixable things, there was one final gripe for you, I believe.
Yeah, it was some software. The Proton compatibility layer has made incredible progress. Even actually during our last couple of months, it's improved a lot. But it can't do anything about developers who block their games on Linux. And
Pretty much all you can do there is email them, bug them, DM them on Twitter, annoy them, and maybe things will change, but there's a lot of devs out there who have no interest in supporting Linux.
there was one gaming experience that was really negative on Linux, but only partially because the game itself didn't work. You see, I was really excited to play Marathon. Wait, shush.
Now keep this interaction in mind, because it's going to be very relevant a little bit later.
Shush. I was excited, okay? I don't
Someone's
care
gonna
what
be
you
excited,
think.
surely.
Deal with it.
I don't even care. I was
I was gonna say, there's no way he's played it.
Yeah,
There's no way.
Anyways, we started this challenge literally 2 days before Marathon came out. And of course, it has kernel level anti-cheat. That does not work on Bazite. And I was really, really bummed out, and I kind of just ended up venting about it online. And I was shocked at the number of people who responded with levels of copium that can only be described as delusional, or
Take note of the fact that basically none of the people here are talking about Linux or talking about your experience on Linux. They are basically just saying Marathon bad. There's a lot of people out there who don't like Marathon full stop. It's like one of the fun culture war games. This has nothing to do with Linux users who are making fun of you. This is entirely Marathon bad.
who directly messaged me telling me to stop hamming up this drama so that way I could make Linux look bad.
I assume there's at least one person that's like that, but like with the Linus interaction from earlier, where it's like, boo, Marathon bad, that's most of what Elijah was seeing.
Yeah, why do you hate Linux, Elijah?
It's all my fault.
And
right?
hot dogs.
I love hamburgers. And it's a big problem because most people will not switch to Linux unless those games are working.
Based PoE 2. Go play PoE 2, it's very fun.
And devs aren't going to prioritize the Linux development, if people don't switch over. I don't know the solution for this, but I do know that staying quiet and pretending it's not a problem isn't the solution.
Yeah, you just didn't want to play that game.
No, I'm gonna get loud because I'm gonna put pressure on developers.
Sure, I think that's a good thing to do. But I do think he is conflating general Marathon haters with Linux users who also happen to not like Marathon. Like, this is not... You're not primarily seeing Linux people celebrating that the game is not working. You're just seeing people that hate Marathon who are like, thank God you don't have to play Marathon. This is basically like a Twitter communication problem.
Yeah, and the good news is that more games work than don't on Linux. And I know both myself and Elijah have been trying more games because of that. Like, sometimes I'll be like, oh, does that work? And it's kind of exciting to even launch it.
It stops being exciting when basically every game works.
There's so much to explore both in the ecosystem itself and in the game.
It can be really fun. Like, in a way, I do see where people were coming from on the Marathon thing. Sorry, I do. They just came at the person instead of talking through the issue. You are not crazy if you want to play the third part of the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Debatable.
On the PlayStation 5. That's not crazy.
Sure.
You're not crazy if you want to play Marathon on a Windows machine. But it's also not crazy to see Linux as a platform separate from those things that supports these games. And framing everything in terms of what it doesn't support, I can see how people would find that kind of toxic.
He's right, it is toxic. But again, specifically with Marathon. Also, you get this with like League of Legends and a few other of these like divisive kind of games. People just hate the games. You gotta be able to like sift through the haters of the game and the people that don't want the game on Linux. Because there's like a few of those people, but it's not most of them.
And I can see how you being blamed for a game you want to play, you might find that pretty toxic.
Yeah.
I'm going to both sides this one.
This is honestly what
Both sides and miss the main point.
largely pushed me more and more towards LLMs throughout the process. Is that I would be having no, but seriously,
Damn, that's absolute truth bomb here.
I'm being completely honest.
I talk to LLMs because people are worse.
That is actually what killed Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow was just such a terrible place to ask any questions. It's nice to just be able to have a guy who tells you what to do. And yeah, he gaslights you sometimes. Yeah, he's wrong sometimes. But to be fair, so is Stack Overflow. But half the time you just get nothing on that site.
So
in
happy
some
right
situations.
now.
Okay, so the reason why was because I would be having fun with my experience. I would be messing around with things, enjoying toying with Linux. Like there was genuinely times where I would sit down at my computer fresh, excited to tackle something that I ran into the previous day because it reminds me of old school computing where you tinker with your system and you work on things. And I like that. I've been missing that for a very long time. And I'd be messing around and then I'd go, oh, okay, I need to look up something. And I'd end up on some Reddit thread and it's just 400 comments of people going at each other's throats. And I'm just like, what? Sorry, I was having a good time. I don't, what is happening here? A lot of
I'm at a point now where I filter out like 90% of the noise. I'm kind of used to it. But I guess if you're kind of new to digging through that, like I can see why that would throw you.
of the information on the internet right now is centralized on Discord, which is practically unsearchable.
Awful,
or
yes.
Reddit, which is
I think inherently flawed.
a rough place to go. So like if I couldn't find something in a select kind of few different places, level 1 text forum is a fantastic option there. If I could find something there, I would read it, I would go through there, that was a good experience. But if I searched something and it was like 7 Reddit threads in a row is all that came up, I would just be like, okay. And I would go
That's
over to
fair.
an LLM
No, I
and
get
try
it.
to
I
figure
get
it
it.
out.
One of the things I really miss from Windows is Windows Hello. Just easy, quick to set up biometric authentication.
Things are getting better in that regard. But there's nothing as convenient as that on Linux right now.
And this guy right here, shout out this guy, is a classic example of the kind of toxic non-answer that is going to end people's personal Linux challenges.
I get what Linus is saying here, but you can't hyperfixate on every idiot on the internet. You've been doing YouTube long enough that you know that some people out there are on the left side of the bell curve. You know there are some morons out there who just want to troll. You cannot get hung up on every single person.
I do want facial login
Sure.
because I like the convenience. This is not your choice. This is my choice.
In the time that Linus spent arguing about what this one person said, he could have found another thread that had an answer. Like, this is what I mean. Just, you don't have to worry about dumb people saying dumb things. Just ignore them.
I found that attitude as well sometimes with people telling me I don't want to do certain things or I should have these as solutions instead. For example, when I complained about not playing PUBG in part 1, do you know how many people commented saying, hey, use GeForce Now? And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get away from Microsoft, whether it's because of the ad-infested hellhole that it's become, or subscription-based services, and you turn around and tell me to use a subscription-based service.
Again, I get what is being said here, but the way it's being framed, it sounds like you have a problem. They offered a solution because this game's just not going to work on Linux. And you're getting angry about the solution. Like, you're basically doing the exact same thing that was being done on the Reddit thread, but not even realizing that, like, it's the exact same thing. Yeah, I don't want to use it either, but if you actually want to play the game, here's how you can do it. If you don't want to deal with that solution, hey, just say, I don't want to deal with cloud gaming. Go about your day. You don't even have to respond. Just anyone who mentions cloud gaming, just ignore that response because it's not relevant to what you are doing. This honestly feels kind of like all three of them not knowing how to navigate social scenarios, which I guess makes sense if you're going to switch to Linux.
Like, excuse me?
Hey, I meant to check in with you.
Yeah.
My non-native Teams app actually worked really well for me the whole month until the very end when I ended up in a login authentication loop that I couldn't get out of. And that happened to be when I was reformatting to Windows anyway. But I was wondering, how did yours end up working?
Mine ended up improving pretty significantly over the course of the challenge.
Got
So
it.
we had opposite arcs.
Nice. Solid.
Most of my issues with it, I think, really are just Teams.
Like TeamViewer, Teams will also be Teams.
All right. This brings us to the big moment.
Yeah.
One at a time, starting with Eli. Who is staying on Linux?
I am, but not on Bazzite. I'm actually going to be swapping over to CachyOS.
Based CachyOS win.
Immutable operating system ended up coming back to bite me in the butt a
I
little
thought
more
that might be a
in the
problem.
later half. Saying
I think immutable operating systems make a lot of sense on appliance-like devices like the Steam Deck, like a media PC, things of that nature. I don't think immutable distros are the direction that regular distros should go. I know some distro maintainers really want that to be what happens. I just don't think it is a good idea. And a lot of the problems Elijah had, and a lot of the problems that other people have, are kind of part of the reason why. The documentation is lacking. Trying to change the image requires you to know DevOps. It's not in a great state. Things like Flatpak and DistroBox have made things better, but if you need to ever install additional drivers that are at kernel level, good luck learning DevOps.
that, I am going to be dual booting.
Yeah.
I'm going to be trying to make Cachy my primary, but as someone who wants to stream the latest and greatest games, I can't have it be an issue and a
Fair.
block to not
Fair.
be able to play Marathon. Windows is going to be a dedicated, basically just Steam launcher, so that way I can play some games.
I've done the same thing in the past. I also do the same thing for configuring my mouse. My mouse doesn't have support with any of the open source Linux software, so I just have a Windows VM that I open up to configure this whenever I want to.
That don't work on Linux.
Well, you do some video editing as well, right?
I do. That would be another thing. Yeah, I had issues with video editing in part 1 and part 2. I just ended up paying video editors.
So wait, you weren't willing to subscribe to GeForce Now, but you would hire a person as a workaround.
Well, it's almost like there was a solution there. It's almost like I think my theory's right that Elijah just didn't know how to deal with people suggesting an answer because it wasn't the answer that he wanted.
Hey, I gave someone a job.
One last remaining question. You said you're having fun. Is that the primary reason you're switching? Is because it's been more fun?
No, the primary reason I am staying mainly on Linux is because Microsoft.
Fair, based.
When I have been actually only on Windows for the last 2 months because I didn't want to kind of give away that this is what I was going to do. My time on Windows has been really frustrating. There's been a lot of moments, like Linus pointed out, where I'd turn the computer on and it would bring me through 3 or 4 prompts, and I'm just like,
All full of dark patterns.
I don't care about being edged for Microsoft Edge. Like, stop it. Like, let me just play my video games, please.
Yeah, I'm staying, and I'm staying on both systems. So I switched my laptop over for this challenge to Mint.
Based Mint win?
That has honestly been the biggest W. There has been zero loss. I have had zero drawback to Windows. I think it is only better. But a lot of that comes down to the use case is so simple.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting in a browser. Every once in a while, I need to sign a PDF. Every once in a while, I need to open a document. Both those things I can easily do.
It's an email box. Literally anything would be fine for an email box.
Other than that, I'm sitting in a browser. Every once in a while, I'll be on a plane and I want to play Slay the Spire. No problem.
Yeah.
It can do all that kind
Anything
of
will
stuff.
do
I've
that.
literally never ran into an issue. But anytime I'm using another laptop on Windows, I'm like, oh, I just wish I was using my machine. So that's like a clear W, and I don't honestly think right now that I'm like ever going back. On the desktop, it's a bit of a mixed bag, more similar to yours. So I have divided my machine kind of in half at this point. So I have...
I think actually we're going to do a video on his kind of unique dual boot setup, so make sure you get subscribed.
I was given a 1 terabyte for this challenge, which is actually running the distro.
You know, you're supposed to give that back.
Yeah.
That's staying in there forever.
To be fair, I was going to do the same thing.
This is not the first time this has happened. This is a common thing at LTT.
Yeah! Thanks, Linus.
This is the payment for us having to do this for the last month.
As for me, I was very surprised to discover that I can. I could. Linux is ready. And I think soon I will be too. I ran into so many moments throughout the last over a month. I mean, I didn't even bother removing my Linux installs after 30 days. I was pleasantly surprised so many times by how well something worked. But the compatibility barrier is still a tough one. If you're willing to be a Linux gamer, it's easier than it's ever been. There is so much to play that works either perfectly or well enough on Linux that if you start with, here's the platform that I have, I want something to do, it's easy. It's a very console-like experience. And I actually mean that in a really positive way.
Yeah, I guess if you look at it like that, you look at like, hey, you're going to have these games that work, but it won't be the entire full set of games. I guess you want to look at it like that. I've never considered that as a approach, but I guess it makes sense.
However, I don't buy many consoles. And I do almost none of my gaming on the ones that I do. And if you want the broadest compatibility, and you don't want to think about it at all, Windows is still the king, especially if there's a social element to your gaming, and if your group happens to want to play something that isn't Linux pilled.
Find friends that like Path of Exile, and then you're good to go.
Marathon.
No, not Marathon.
Another aspect of this, and the reason that I actually did just switch my system, is because as a reviewer, the vast majority of the stuff that I need to do is Windows native. And so if I have a new Logitech Superstrike X2 mouse or something, and I'm supposed to be using it and evaluating it, and what? I'm just going to give only the Linux perspective and...
Work stuff, I think, is entirely reasonable. I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, you shouldn't use Windows if you need it for work. I do hope they include more of the Linux compatibility in their reviews when is relevant, but I get it. It's Windows hardware. You need Windows.
And hope that the third-party app that maybe will interface with this brand new hardware is good. No, come on.
Sure.
Be real. I need to be on Windows. I need to install the native app so that I can evaluate this hardware, and that happens a lot for me. With everything I just said out of the way, though, I'm not ready to go back to vanilla Windows either. It has been so refreshing to not be bothered a single time over the last couple of months that I happily extended my time without even thinking about it. And I think that my happy place is going to be to try and find the middle ground. I want to hang out in the Windows debloating community for a bit.
There are good projects out there, but let's see if LTT promotes another security hellhole again, like they did in the past.
Then, if I can't make that work, I might distro hop for a few months and settle on Linux.
I would expect, like, a home theater PC, a laptop. Obviously, he needs a Windows machine, but it sounds like most of the rest of his life, he probably could get away with using Linux.
I sincerely hope that by that time, Valve is ready with an NVIDIA-capable SteamOS, because I am like super SteamOS pilled still. I did end up with that in my home theater room, and it just like...
Valve is never going to be ready for that because Valve is not working on that because SteamOS is for their hardware and various other portals. If any of these portable devices ever come out with an NVIDIA GPU, maybe then it will happen. But they're not doing this.
It's the most console-like of all of the gaming experiences on PC, and it's just pretty freaking cool. And now here's a...
What a way to end a video. So, I think overall, it was a good challenge. I actually do think it was pretty good. I think the challenges section, the one where they were like had 10 minutes to do each thing, I think that was a mess. But overall, I'm happy that, I'm happy there's more promotion of Linux. I'm happy more people are trying things out. I'm happy that people are legitimately willing to give this a shot and not just say, oh, well, I tried it once 10 years ago. I didn't like it then. Yeah. I'm not surprised that Bazzite caused problems. I really am not. Bazzite's cool. Bazzite is really cool. And if you just want a gaming machine, you just want a SteamOS, Steam Deck-like experience, it's fine. I just do not think that immutable operating systems make complete sense for a desktop use case. Maybe we need to talk more about this, because I think they're cool. I just think there's a lot of problems there that you're gonna run into. So I'm going to head out for today. I've got some stuff to do. So if you like the video, go like the video. Go let me know your thoughts down below. And go subscribe as well if you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here. Check out the Patreon, Scrubs, Daily Therapy, link in the description down below. That's going to be it for me. And if they're on Linux now, I guess we're never getting another challenge unless you do it with like other employees. I don't know. We'll see what happens next year, I guess.
Like this.